Okay, everybody, welcome to Mike Ferry TV. It is the week of June 29th, and of course, hard to believe the year is now half over. That's good news because the first 6 months certainly were not, I don't think, what anybody expected, anticipated, or thought would take place. But the really good news is that means we still have 6 months to achieve the goals we've set. And I've said this to all of you before on Mike Ferry TV. Years ago, we did some research and we really looked carefully at the production of people that are considered to be top producers in the real estate industry. What we discovered was that about 70% of the business they do takes place in a 6-month period of time, and 30% takes place in a 6-month period of time, which means then that if you are behind, and it's not uncommon to be behind in the goals you have set, you still have plenty of time to achieve them. Every indication says the market is going to be great for the second half of 2020. So the question is, do you want your market to be great also? And if the answer is yes, I think the next couple of weeks that we're working together can help you a lot, because we know that it's just a matter of getting back into the swing of things. And a lot of realtors, a lot of agents are not yet back to work at the level they should be. What I did last week on Monday, I asked 175 top producers to tell me the 5 to 10 things they are committing to compete, or to complete, I should say, this year as strongly as possible. What are the action steps, the activities, etc.? What are they doing to make sure that this year ends up being the kind of year they've always wanted? So what I did is I picked out of, they've sent me probably 200 to 300 ideas of their activities they're going to be involved in. And I took 10 of them. I went through most of them this morning for several hours. I picked 10 of them that I think any of us could do if we choose to. So the question then, of course, is what is the level of commitment that you have to the balance of this year? What is the level of commitment you have to the goals you've set, the plans you have, how you want to live, how you want your family to live, what kind of income you're going to have, etc. So let's begin. Okay, so here's no order of importance on these. These are just 10 that I selected out of probably 300. Number 1, I have to reach my daily contact goal of 30 new contacts. And I want to remember every day, these are not lead follow-up. These are new contacts. I get the question asked at least every week, sent to me by email from somebody that is new to the Mike Ferry sales system. And that is, can I count my lead follow-up calls as contacts towards my prospecting? And of course you can. We can't stop you from doing that, but it certainly is not creating the type of discipline in the business that you and I think needs to be created and or expected if we want to achieve the goals we've set. A new contact, by definition, is talking to an adult every day about the real estate business. Okay, that's what a contact is, talking to an adult. Lead follow-up, of course, is taking those leads you already have and working to get the appointments that you're trying to accomplish and get. They didn't all say, I have to make 30 contacts, but I would say that 30% of the 175 have to make between 25 and 30 contacts a day to achieve the goals they've set. How many contacts do you have to make? I mean, really think about that. If you want to achieve your goal, how many contacts do you think you have to make? A lot of agents will say to me, how many contacts do I have to make to achieve the goal? I said, it's very simple. What is the goal? And let's say the goal is to make 30 transactions for the year. And then I'll say, how many of those come from your database, past client centers of influence? And they'll say, well, let's say 5. And I said, if I subtract 5 from 30 or 5 from 25, I have 20 left. So therefore, that tells me how many contacts I have to make per day. Number 2, remember the morning schedule must be planned the night before, and then I've got to commit to following that morning schedule. You know, it's interesting. I don't think if you read any books on sales, leadership, management, top producing people in any field of endeavor, they're always planning what they're doing the evening before, because that means they're going to rest a little better knowing that they have a plan in effect, and they get up in the morning with a lot more energy and excitement and enthusiasm about what they have to do. I've got to remember the morning schedule must be planned the night before, and then follow that schedule as closely as possible. If you have a schedule, and I'm assuming you do, and if you follow it 80% of the time, you're going to win. And that's what we're all talking about. Number 3, I have to call my role play partners. I have to call my accountability partners. I have to spend a few minutes reading, getting my mindset in gear, learning during that first hour of each day that I'm working. So let's say that your schedule has you starting your prospecting, say at 9 o'clock. From 8 to 9, role play, accountability, read, learn, prepare your mind for the day. If you're starting your prospecting at 7:30, you're off to an early start at 6:30 in the morning. But you have to understand that talking to people, role play partners, practicing your scripts, talking to your accountability partners, which boosts the morale and gets you in the right mindset, spending 15 minutes reading or listening to some great ideas that are available to all of us, knowing and learning, that really does set the tone for how the day is going to be. So number 3 is really a critically important one. Number 4, be better prepared. And I like the way they stated this. Be better prepared for each appointment. What do they need to know to make the decision to list with me? So I'm going into the appointment. I've got a 4 o'clock in the afternoon listing appointment. I've done my pre-qualifying. I've put together the pre-listing package. I've done all the steps. But what does that seller, based on what I heard them say to me in the pre-qualifying, what do they need to know to make the decision to list with me when I see them today? If you don't know the answer, it's because maybe you didn't listen carefully enough to what they said. If you don't know the answer, maybe you didn't pre-qualify at all. If you don't know the answer, maybe you're not in tune to learning to listen to how people speak and what they're saying to you. I thought number 4 was pretty important, something we could all pay attention to. Number 5, this was fun. Go on a minimum of 2 listing presentations per week and take 6 listings per month. So July, August, September, October, November, December, okay, 6 months, 6 listings per month, 36 listings taken. You've got a 70% or better listing sold ratio. You're going to have a great finish to the second half of the year. But it starts with a listing presentation. So what I want you to think about is this. What are the steps you have to take to make sure that you get 2 listing presentations per week? Is it a possibility? Do you know the steps you have to take? Do you have to spend a little bit more time doing good lead follow-up? Obviously, vitally important. Number 6 on the list, delegate more to my assistant, assuming you have one, or to the transaction coordinator in the company, if the company has one, and or to the affiliates that you work with. Or in essence, delegate more. And as we've said time and time again for years on Mike Ferry TV, delegation is the act of giving away, giving up responsibility, giving somebody authority, giving somebody the right to make the decisions, giving somebody, the right to make the mistakes that are going to be made. Delegation is what gives you the time that you say you want to live your life and to produce at a higher level. Delegation, to give away. If you're hoarding everything and trying to do everything yourself, very hard to do a lot of transactions. Number 7, we've already talked about this mildly. They all said be much more aggressive. And I wrote the number 50% more aggressive in your lead follow-up. How many leads do you really have right now? I mean, be honest. Do you have 3, 5, 10, 15 leads? When's the last time you talked to each one of them? And did you ask each one of them for an appointment? Okay. Number 8 came up probably 5 or 6 times in the first, say, 20 of these that I reviewed, meaning these lists. If you're going to be a top producer, you have to learn to say no, because you truly cannot help everybody. If you're going to be a top producer, you have to learn to say no. You truly can't help everybody, because you can't help everybody. The property's worth $495. They want $700,000. Okay, they want to buy a home and they want to spend $1 million, but they only earn, $68,000 a year, and they don't have a big cash down payment. There's certain circumstances you find out in the pre-qualifying from the knowledge of the person. There's times when you just simply cannot be of service. Learn to say no. You can't help everybody. Disadvantage of talking all day is some days I lose my voice. Number 9 on this list, work on strengthening the mindset every day. And of course, during the first 6 months of this year, we learned how important the mindset really was and how easily we can be so distracted and taken away from the plans because of not having a media-free life. Probably saw about 10 times that these top producers said the last 6 months of the year they're going to be media free. And many of them said, I'm going to be social media free so I can focus on the job at hand. By being media free, you strengthen your mindset. By taking 2 or 3 mindset breaks a day, strengthen your mindset. And number 10, which is probably the most important, do not deviate even 1% from the 5-step Mike Ferry listing process that we all have available to us. Now, I'm not saying the Mike Ferry listing process because my name is Mike Ferry and I'm trying to sound like a big shot. I'm saying the Mike Ferry listing process because we've defined a 5-step process that you can follow step by step, where you can therefore get 60 to 70 to 80% of the presentations you go on. You get them to sign a contract. But it starts with step number 1, which we've already discussed, which is the pre-qualifying process. So if you don't know what the Mike Ferry listing process is, go to our website, mikeferry.com, look at the listing process, download that information and start using it. For the next couple of weeks, I'm going to go through more of these lists that the top producers are going to use from now to the end of the year. I think they're valuable. I think they're important. Best of yet, we can learn from them and they can help us accelerate our 6 months. So let's commit to a great 6 months. Let's commit to getting the job done. And I'm glad that you're watching Mike Ferry TV and that we can be of service to you. Don't forget, this year, instead of July, our Superstar Retreat is going to be in September. It's going to be a virtual 3-day retreat. Go online, get registered, become part of that retreat. And the good news is, if you choose to come to the retreat in September virtually, you don't have to pay for an upfront seat. You get an upfront seat. So you're going to have the best seat in the house because you're going to be sitting right in front of me on your computer device that you choose to use. We will look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks for today. Bye-bye.